Hello students, welcome to Pulwas ESET Academy, ESET ECE 2021. In this video lecture, I am going to continue with semiconductor physics. In the previous video lecture, I have discussed about materials, classification of materials, semiconductors and classification of semiconductors. So there I have discussed about intrinsic semiconductor, extrinsic n-type semiconductor and extrinsic p-type semiconductor. In this video lecture, I am going to deal with energy band diagrams. Okay, so let me write here energy band diagrams. So first of all, let me tell you what is the purpose of these energy band diagrams, where we will use these energy band diagrams. So remember one thing, energy band diagrams are used to represent energy states of electrons. So these energy band diagrams are used to represent energy states of electrons. So let me consider insulators first. Okay, so you have conduction band, valency band. So this is valency band and this is conduction band. This is edge of the conduction band. This is the edge of the valency band. EV, energy level, edge of the valency band. EC is the energy level, edge of the conduction band. On y-axis, we will refer energy, and on x-axis we are going to refer atomic separation. So what is the meaning of this atomic separation is, in insulator material, the distance between two atoms is considered to be atomic separation. Okay, so ఈ material లో so two atoms మధ్య ఉండే distance atomic separation అన్నమాట. So when you are moving right extreme, when you are moving to the right extreme, what does it mean? You are simply increasing the distance between two atoms. Okay, here, so the gap between conduction band and valency band is forbidden energy gap. So forbidden energy gap. Okay, so let me explain to you. In the valency band, energy states are available for bounded electrons, and in the conduction band, energy states are available for free electrons. Here, energy states are available for free electrons. Here, energy states are available for bounded electrons. Any bounded electron can stay here, any free electron can stay here. So for insulators, this energy gap is given as more than 6 electron volts, which means that however you try, you cannot make these bounded electrons free electrons. So these electrons which are there in the valency band cannot move to the conduction band, which means that insulators will not have any free electrons, so they cannot conduct electricity. Okay, so they will never conduct electricity since they do not have free electrons. This is what. Okay, so moving on to the semiconductors. So here I am just referring silicon as my default semiconductor, as I have been mentioning these points. So you have conduction band, so you have valency band, so this is EC and this is EV. So this energy gap for silicon will be 1.21 electron volt at T equal to 0 Kelvin and 1.1 electron volts at T equal to 300 Kelvin. So which means that when you are increasing the temperature, this energy gap is reducing. So thereby electrons are moving from valency band to the conduction band. So electrons will be moving from valency band to the conduction band. This is how semiconductors are able to conduct electricity at room temperature. They will not be able to conduct electricity at T equal to 0 Kelvin. Here we are providing thermal energy, so thereby semiconductors are in a position to able to conduct electricity. So next, moving on to conductors. So you have a conduction band, and then you have valency band. You can see here. So both the conduction band and valency band are merged together. So thereby this energy gap is simply equal to 0 electron volts. So that is why we are saying that conductors can able to conduct electricity at any given temperature. Semiconductors are able to conduct electricity at room temperature. Insulators can never able to conduct electricity. So by this time you should be clear about these materials. Okay. So now we will see a question here. So electron in the conduction band. So the options are as follows. Has lower energy than electron in valency band. This is the first option. So electron in the conduction band has lower energy than electron in the valency band. Option B has higher energy than electron in the valency band. Okay, so CB is referring to conduction band, VB is referring to valency band. Okay, next, option C is always chargeless. Option D is has equal energy with the electron in valency band. Okay, so he is asking about the electron in the conduction band has either lower energy than the electron in the valency band, or has the equal energy with the electron in the valency band, or has higher energy than electron in the valency band, or the electron is always chargeless. So if you are just understanding, you can answer this question. So I am representing conduction band here and valency band here, and this y-axis I am referring as energy. Now what does it mean? So when you are going upwards, so when you are moving upwards, the energy is increasing. Okay, so valency band, this is valency band, this is conduction band. Okay, as I am representing energy on y-axis, when you are moving upwards, energy is simply increasing, which means that the electron in the conduction band has higher energy compared to the electron in the valency band. Clear? So be clear with this. Electron in the conduction band always has higher energy than the electron in the valency band. Okay. So the option B is the correct statement. So let me rub this. So next we'll move on to intrinsic semiconductor. We will take intrinsic semiconductor. We will see what is the energy band diagram. So here I am taking intrinsic semiconductor. Okay. So again you have two bands. One is conduction band. The other one is valency band. This is valency band. And as I was mentioning here, this is EC and this is EV. Okay, so we will see what is going to happen here. So Eg is 1.1 electron volts at T equal to 300 Kelvin. Now, what is going to happen here is in the intrinsic semiconductor, when you are increasing the temperature, so you are providing energy to the electrons, thermal energy. You are providing thermal energy to the electrons. So thereby, electrons can move from valency band to the conduction band. Once if they are moving from valency band to the conduction band, they will become free electrons. Now let's say electron is moving from here. There are electrons here in the valency band. So these are all bounded electrons. Okay. So at T equal to 0 Kelvin, there are no free electrons. At T equal to 0 Kelvin, there are no free electrons. At T equal to 0 Kelvin, all the electrons are bounded electrons, and all these electrons are bounded in covalent bonds. Okay. So now when you are increasing the temperature, electrons are moving from valency band to the conduction band. So electrons are moving from valency band to the conduction band. This is what I have told EHP generation. So electron hole pair is generated. So electron hole pair is generated when you are increasing the temperature. Actually we are providing thermal energy to these bounded electrons. So thereby the bounded electrons are moving from valency band to the conduction band. That's how EHP generation is taking place. Okay. So this diagram is purely at T equal to 300 Kelvin. Okay. So at T equal to 300 Kelvin, EHP generation is taking place because the electrons are moving from valency band to the conduction band. Okay. So next we will see extrinsic N-type semiconductor. So let me take here N-type semiconductor. So as usual, this is conduction band, this is valency band, this is energy gap here. So you have bounded electrons in the valency band. So in N-type semiconductor, we have seen that we are adding impurity atom called phosphorus atom. So phosphorus atom has 5 valency electrons, in which 4 are participating in covalent bonds. Yes, 4 are participating in covalent bonds. All 4 electrons will be staying here. So there is a 5th electron which is ready to become free. And it becomes free at T equal to 100 Kelvin. If you remember, all these things I have told in the previous video lecture. This is why I am saying that you have to follow each and every video lecture carefully to understand the concepts in a clear and detailed manner. Okay? So ఎప్పుడైతే మనం వీడియో లెక్చర్స్ అని వెంటనే సో సీక్వెన్స్ గా ఫాలో అవుతామో అప్పుడు మాత్రమే యూ కెన్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ఎవ్రీ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఇన్ ఎ క్లియర్ అండ్ డీటెయిల్డ్ మేనర్. ఓకే, సో హియర్ these electrons are the bounded electrons, and in N-type semiconductor there is an impurity atom which is called phosphorus atom. Phosphorus atom has 5th electron which it can ready to donate. So that donation will happen at T equal to 100 Kelvin. So which means that that will be near to this conduction band. So there is an additional energy level. This energy level is called donor energy level. So ED is referring donor energy level. So this at this energy level, so what electrons will be staying here? So the electrons of phosphorus atom, so fifth electron of each phosphorus atom. So the fifth electron of each phosphorus atom is staying at the donor energy level. Okay. Now tell me what is going to happen. At T equal to 0 Kelvin, there are no free electrons, here bounded electrons, and these electrons are ready to become free. Okay. So this is the energy level of one phosphorus atom. This is the energy level of second phosphorus atom. Like that, we will add so many phosphorus atoms. So this energy level is referring fifth electron of each phosphorus atom. At this energy level, energy states are available for the fifth electron of phosphorus atom. Okay. So at T equal to 100 Kelvin, what is happening? So at T equal to 100 Kelvin, each phosphorus atom can donate its fifth electron. At T equal to 100 Kelvin, each phosphorus atom can donate its fifth electron. So thereby, electron can move from here to here. So here only electron is generated. This is what I have told in the last class also. So only electron is generated here. And what happens at T equal to 300 Kelvin? Very good. So at T equal to 300 Kelvin, so valency electrons are moving to the conduction band. So EHP generation is taking place. Here there is a hole. At T equal to 300 Kelvin, covalent bonds are breaking down. What does it mean? Electrons are moving from valency band to the conduction band. Thereby, now they are becoming free electrons. Okay. So this is at T equal to 300 Kelvin. Now tell me, in n-type semiconductor, I have told you, now you can believe me that I have told you majority carriers are electrons and minority carriers are holes. In n-type semiconductor, majority carriers are electrons and minority carriers are holes. So that's why I have told n is much greater than p. If you remember. Okay. Next, similarly, I go to a p-type semiconductor. So this is conduction band. This is valency band. So here you have one more additional energy level. This is acceptor energy level, where the boron atom is ready to accept the electron. The boron atom is ready to accept the electron. By accepting electron, it becomes negative charge. Okay. So this acceptation will happen at T equal to 100 Kelvin. And at T equal to 300 Kelvin, EHP generation takes place. So this is again at T equal to 300 Kelvin. So in p-type semiconductor, what are the majority carriers? Very good, holes. What are the minority carriers? Electrons. So what can we write? P is much greater than n. Okay. So let me erase this. So we will take up some questions on this energy band diagrams. So what is the energy band gap of silicon at T equal to 300 Kelvin? So this is the question. Okay, it is a simple question. Now only we have seen. So the options are something like 1.36 electron volts. Option B is 1.21 electron volts. Option C is 1.1 electron volt and 0.72 electron volts. Okay. So tell me what is the answer for this? What is the answer for this question? Very good. So Eg is equal to 1.1 electron volts for silicon at T equal to 300 Kelvin. Okay. So in sometimes they might ask what is the energy gap for germanium, that is another semiconductor. So those values also I am giving. So energy gap is equal to 0.785 electron volts for germanium at T equal to 0 Kelvin, and it is 0.72 electron volts for germanium at T equal to 300 Kelvin. So please make a note of it. So in one of the previous year question they are asking about the energy band gap of silicon at T equal to 300 Kelvin. Maybe in the next year they can ask energy gap of germanium at T equal to 300 Kelvin. Okay. So there is a scope of asking that. So you can write Eg is equal to 0.72 electron volts for germanium at T equal to 300 Kelvin. Okay. So make a note of it. So the next one is referring energy band diagram shown in the figure below. Which of the following statements is true? So the given energy band diagram in the question is you have EC and you have EV and you have ED. So referring energy band diagram shown in the figure below, which of the following statements is true? So options are something like P-type semiconductor. So this energy band diagram. Next, N-type semiconductor. C is intrinsic semiconductor. Insulator. Okay. So actually what they are asking is, so which of the following semiconductor this energy band diagram is referring to? So this energy band diagram is referring to which of the following semiconductors? So now only we have seen what is the answer? Yes, N-type semiconductor. Okay. So this energy band diagram is referring to N-type semiconductor. Clear? So next concept is Fermi energy level. We will see, okay, what is the physical significance of Fermi energy level. So let me write here Fermi energy level. So EF. So what is the physical significance of Fermi energy level? So that is what? Physical significance of EF. Okay. So let me explain to you. So listen to me carefully. So Fermi energy level is that energy level below which all energy states are occupied and above which all energy states are unoccupied. Okay. At T equal to 0 Kelvin. Let me repeat this again for the sake of understanding. Fermi energy level, it is that energy level below which all energy states are occupied and above which all energy states are unoccupied at T equal to 0 Kelvin. So if you are taking intrinsic semiconductor, let me explain this to you. Intrinsic semiconductor. So you have conduction band EC, you have valency band, this is EV. Okay. Now, where can we locate this Fermi energy level in intrinsic semiconductor? Where can we locate this Fermi energy level in intrinsic semiconductor? At T equal to 0 Kelvin we are speaking. At T equal to 0 Kelvin. Can I locate this in valency band? Can I locate here? If you locate this Fermi energy level here, the definition of Fermi level energy is itself wrong. Okay? So why? Because what is the definition of EF we are saying? It is that energy level below which all energy states are occupied and above which all the energy states are unoccupied. Here, the location of Fermi level below which all are occupied is correct, but above which all are unoccupied is incorrect, because these energy states are also occupied. At T equal to 0 Kelvin, complete valency band is occupied, which means that if you are locating this Fermi energy level below which all the energy states are occupied but above which all the energy states should be unoccupied, but here occupied, so this location is wrong. Okay, can you locate in the conduction band? If you are locating here below which all the energy states should be occupied at T equal to 0 Kelvin, but here these energy states are unoccupied at T equal to 0 Kelvin. Okay, so the location of the Fermi level where its definition is failing, the location of the Fermi level where its definition is failing, that location we cannot keep this Fermi level. Where can we keep this Fermi level for the intrinsic semiconductor? You can keep anywhere in between valency band and conduction band. So anywhere in between valency band and conduction band you can keep here. Okay, so actually this Fermi energy level is used to represent the probability of finding an electron, and the calculations are showing that the Fermi energy level for the intrinsic semiconductor lies exactly at the middle of energy gap. So this is the location of Fermi level in the intrinsic semiconductor. So please note this point very carefully. In intrinsic semiconductor, the Fermi level lies exactly at the middle of energy gap. So let me write for you. Make a note of it. An intrinsic semiconductor Fermi energy level EF lies exactly at the middle of energy gap. Middle of energy gap. Very good. So this point is very important. So most of the times they might ask these type of questions, where the Fermi level is located in the intrinsic semiconductor. So you should be in a position to answer this. In intrinsic semiconductor, Fermi energy level lies exactly at the middle of energy gap. And what is the purpose of this Fermi energy level? This Fermi energy level is used to represent the probability of finding an electron, either in the conduction band or in the valency band. Okay. Next, if you take n-type semiconductor, so you have one more energy level here. So in n-type semiconductor, we have to provide the location for the Fermi level. So as I was telling in the previous also, we cannot keep in the valency band, we cannot keep in the conduction band. Can we keep in the middle? So can we keep Fermi level in n-type semiconductor middle? Let me keep here. So if you are keeping in the middle, what is the definition I am saying? Below which all the energy states should be occupied and above which all the energy states should be unoccupied. But this donor energy level is occupied by the fifth electron of each phosphorus atom. So you cannot keep here. So where can we keep? Again in the middle of EC and ED. Okay, dotted lines. This is the correct location of Fermi level in n-type semiconductor. So there is a chance of asking these type of questions. How can they ask? In n-type semiconductor, where the Fermi level lies. Okay, in n-type semiconductor, Fermi level lies close to the conduction band. So let me write an important note here. In n-type semiconductor, SC is semiconductor, Fermi energy level EF lies close to conduction band. Okay, so this point is very important. Please make a note of it. In n-type semiconductor, EF lies close to conduction band. And similarly, for p-type semiconductor, we will see here. So there is an EC, so there is an EV, there is an additional energy level which is acceptor energy level. Now, where it can be located? Not in EV, not in EC. If you keep in the middle, below which all the energy states should be occupied, but this energy level is not occupied. So it should be in the middle of EV and EA. This is the correct location of Fermi level in p-type semiconductor. It should be close to valency band in p-type semiconductor, close to conduction band in n-type semiconductor, and exactly at the middle in the intrinsic semiconductor. So similarly, the note here is EF lies close to valency band in p-type semiconductor. So these points are very important. So please make a note of it and you have to remember these points. Okay. Okay, so the next concept is we have to discuss about the most important concept here, Hall effect experiment. So let me discuss this. What is this Hall effect experiment? Why we have to study this? So why we have to study this Hall effect experiment? So it is the physical evidence to prove that semiconductors are also having positively charged carriers, which are called holes. So this experiment is the physical evidence to prove that semiconductor is also having holes as the charge carriers along with the electrons. Okay, we will see how to study this experiment. So let me tell you. So consider an n-type semiconductor. Consider an n-type semiconductor carrying a current I in positive x direction. So let me take a semiconductor here. This is n-type semiconductor. So this is n-type semiconductor. We are considering that it is carrying current I in positive x direction. And a magnetic field of B is applied in positive z direction. A magnetic field of B is applied in positive z direction. If the current is in this direction, what is the direction of electrons? Very good, in the opposite direction. Electrons will be moving in the opposite direction. Okay, so what is the charge flow here? Q into V. So Q is the charge of electron, V is the velocity of electrons. Okay, if there are n number of electrons, so the charge is what? N into Q. Velocity is what? V. So QV is the charge flow of electrons. If you are taking this charge flow in the same direction as with the I, we have to write minus QV. Okay, so this is the charge flow in the direction of current I. Okay, so when there is a charge flow in the positive x direction and when there is a magnetic field in the positive z direction, so quantum physics is saying that there is an induced force acting in the negative y direction, and that induced force is the cross product of these two. So when there is a induced force here, so this force is pulling these electrons downwards. When the electrons are moving downwards, this lower surface is becoming negative charge and this upper surface is becoming positive charge. Okay, so not over, just listen to me. This is for n-type semiconductor. We do the same thing for p-type semiconductor also. Now we take p-type semiconductor. Now we take p-type semiconductor. Carrying a current in the positive x direction and a magnetic field of strength B is applied in the positive z direction. If there is a current I in this direction, how the holes are moving? In the same direction along with the current I. So what is the direction of charge flow? QB. And again, there is an induced force acting downwards. This time it is QV cross B. Now this induced force is pulling the holes. In p-type semiconductor, the majority carriers are holes. These holes are pulled to downwards due to this induced force. So thereby the lower surface is getting positively charged and the upper surface is getting negatively charged. Now where this Hall effect experiment is used. If someone is asking in the lab, they have given one type of semiconductor to you, they have given one semiconductor to you and they are asking what is the type of semiconductor. They are asking you whether it is n-type semiconductor or p-type semiconductor. So you have to conduct this experiment. If you are conducting this experiment, then you can able to know whether it is p-type semiconductor or n-type semiconductor. Now it is clear. The purpose of Hall effect experiment is to identify the type of semiconductor. If you are having a semiconductor and if you are doing that experiment, if the lower surface is negatively charged, that is n-type semiconductor. If the lower surface is positively charged, that is p-type semiconductor. So this potential difference is creating a Hall voltage and this potential difference is creating a Hall voltage. So here this is surface 1 and this is surface 2. With respect to surface 1, 2 is positively charged, so VH is negative. With respect to surface 1, 2 is negatively charged, so VH is positive, which means that Hall voltage, VH is what? Hall voltage is negative for n-type semiconductors, Hall voltage is positive for p-type semiconductor. Okay. So thank you so much. So I have given ESET standard practice questions on the semiconductor physics. So the link is available. You can solve those questions. If you are unable to get those questions, I also have given the solutions. You can go to the solutions. If you have any doubts, if you still have any doubts, you can contact me on this mail ID. So if you have any doubts on the semiconductor physics, you can contact me on this mail ID. So Brahmavasu, BRAHMAVASU .gandikota@gmail.com. So this is my mail ID. You can contact on this mail ID if you have any doubts on the semiconductor physics. Okay. I also have given some of the practice questions, so please practice them. Thank you.